This is amazing. Thank you.
Did that say it's recording now then?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So this lady I'm doing a session in, the ear of the Hopi rabbit is bent down. She lives on the two sides of this one ear that's bent down. And she said, we worked through her issues and her pain. And she said she felt this great calling. So she lives at the point of the ear down, and she's going up to the top of the ear. I tell Pamela this, that I said to her she needs to drop crystals all the way up, because she had this great urge to go to the town at the top of the ear, which is an hour drive through these it's called the Grand Mesa. So this is one of the Hopi ears. Anyway, she drives up, and so that's while I'm in that Zoom or the live with Pamela and Todd talking about Anu. She's doing it while we're in she's driving up through the top of Sedona there. Anyway, I told Pamela of this lady. I said I didn't want to tell anyone that she was doing it until it's complete, like she completed what mission she wanted to do with us. Anyway, she did it, and she said, this is a great prophecy of the Hopi. And I went, what? Because, Pamela knows Indian stuff. And she said, it's when they understand the language, when they can hear the Hopi. And I've gone, are you kidding me? Because it's the bent down ear. So I look at Sedona, because Sedona is when I met Richard. It was 1997. It was when the Phoenix Lights happened, and a fashion editor made me shoot at Sedona. We could have shot anywhere in the world. She wanted that location at Sedona where the hieroglyphs are in the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah.
No, can't make this up. So we're at Sedona at this location, which is similar location to where Todd is. So I look up Sedona because I wanted to see how big Sedona is. So I looked up yesterday Sedona, and I realized it's really tiny. And then I looked at it and I went, it's the pineal gland of an ant type being. And the ant being is looking at the hills over here, which is called Crown. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to tell this to Dr. Joe, because this is an ant being. So it's in action looking to spirit. So it's sea act again, but they've shired off the pineal gland. And that's Sedona. I'm going to send you that map as well. And I just went, this is the land of the rocks. This is why I'm meeting Dr. Joe. This is going to be huge energy. I'm going to do lots of digging. So I went outside and I dug all day yesterday because I knew, and I was around big rocks all day because I thought this is what's needed from me to ground me, I guess, to be ready for you. And I don't know, I just see a little like if you post this up or I make a little video of this, but this rock voice has great importance for all of us. So thank you for offering it to me.
No problem, and I've got no problem at all doing this at all. I just go with it. I'm like you now. I couldn't care. I couldn't. I'll just do what I feel like, really. Because today I've had such a powerful day of information coming in. Call it an upload, download, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't make any difference. But what I've been shown is, before the rock. So we are Stardust. I keep getting that all the time. We are Stardust. We are Stardust. And okay, it's coming in now. So this is when I get my knee trembling, it's up my spine, it's out of my head, and it's just keep going now, son. So we are Stardust, and I got then before that the symbology of the Great Bang. And when I get the Great Bang, I also get the Little Bang as well, which is basically human conception. It's the activation by the sperm, and that what actually happens there's an explosion of the egg, really, because I see that cell, that primary cell, is total potential. So it's the feminine, female. It's the great big void. It's the blackness. You know, it's the sac really that contains, and it's almost like it gets punctured then in order for the great bang, the great big bang to happen, both at a macrocosmic level and a microcosmic level. And then I get all the stars then. So the stars then are projected out. They then form universes, they form galaxies, they form solar systems, and then, you know, it forms the Earth, you know. And so that's that whole sort of cosmic explosion that goes on, but that also happens at the moment of conception as well, you know. And there's one that's a pure thing, and there's one that's got all sorts of impurities. So sometimes when children are born, they're almost like projected through all sorts of impurities and miasms, and they pick that information up. But that could well be the soul's curriculum that they've chosen for themselves. This is the day, you know, woke up with all this coming in. And then they got, now look, Joe, you see, it's all about the land of chem. I said, well, I know what chem is. Okay, Khem. But that, Joe, is chemistry. That's where chemistry originated from. That's what the pyramids were. The pyramids were actually chemical manufacturing processes that stored energy for direct currents. And I said, well, explain to me more. And then they took me then through protons. So they took me, proton is H plus, right? That's a cation. I got cation. And then as you mentioned an Egyptian goddess the other night. Is it Sesh? It's not Sekhmet, but Seshat. Seshat. Okay? I'll shut up now while you say something.
Oh no, I'm just
okay. So Seshat, and I look, well, I don't know who that is. So the goddess, she is the originator of the script. I thought that's interesting. I said, but she taught Thoth. She taught Thoth about writing, and he passed writing on to mankind as well then. I said, well, okay, what's that about? You know what it's about, Joe? It's about the DNA script. It's about reverse transcriptase. It's about how writing can go wrong and how we've been duped. So writing going wrong. So now we're wronging the rights now. So we've got all this reverse transcriptase, and then I get reverse engineering, and I get chemical engineering, bioengineering, mechanical. I got all this stuff, and I said, okay, go back. And I got, Joe, this is about nobility. I said, okay, what do you mean by that then? And I got the noble gases, Joe. Go and have a look at the noble gases. And the ego in me says, I know what the noble gases are. And I got just go and have a look at them, because we're trying to show you something. So then I get, you know, neon. So there's helium, neon, argon, krypton, and radon then, and they're called the noble gases, and they're very, very stable even in the most traumatic environments. That's what nobility and dignity is all about, Joe. Right? And I said, okay, thanks very much. Right? And then I got a number sequence then as well. So my whole day has been filled with this, because I sort of knew that I was talking to you tonight. It's not that I prepare anything, I just get led to stuff, you know. And basically what it's about is creationism, but it's also about materialization. But we're going through now a dematerialization process, because the ascension is really about a disentanglement, and it's sort of freeing all the basic atoms, right, like Lego blocks, right, to be recreated now from a different energy, from the energy of the heart now, right. Over to you, Elsa, and pick the bones out of that one.
So it's all about gas. That's so
Yes.
funny. Our kids are going to think that's hilarious.
Aww.
So, well, it's a big deal in the family. So, because if it's not us doing, it's the pets. So.
Well, I just got now. Tell her it's solar winds. Solar wind.
So this is what I love, is that this they're heavy topics, right? Because they unfold our existence, but yet we're doing it with a humor, which is, you know, human in us. And I think deep down, all of us really do want to be playful children. So this is great, because this lifts our ions and allows the more to come in. So you're getting downloads, I'm digging and I'm getting downloads, and they keep saying, go look at Sedona map. And I say, I know Sedona map. Go look at Sedona map and how it looks like the pineal gland. The nobles, how many are there? How many did you say? I didn't count them, sorry.
Well, I think there's 6 natural ones, but they've manipulated one at the end as well. So I think that the 6 natural ones. So let's do it. So it's helium, neon, argon, xenon, krypton, 5, and radon. So there's 6, but there's another one beginning with O, I think, which I can't remember the name of, because it's been it's a manipulated one at the end.
So, so you talked of the flashes, and in the movie Lucy, this flash in the conception of birth is the most powerful chemical. It's like it's more powerful than an atomic bomb. So if like you say, we're having these flashes in the beginning with the gases, it was possibly this big bang, but in saying that, it might also be empowerment, not a destructive type force. Yeah, you get that, right? Yeah. This tapping back into it, you have said in other interviews, we have to descend the matrix in a fragile way first to support our body and our ions. So we climb down the stairs of the one side of the pyramid, being an ant. So it takes a while because we're descend ants. So then we hit rock bottom. So we get grounded, dark night of the soul, bottom of the pit. Then we, in the unknown and darkness, our light then returns to shine and we ascend up the ant hill, the pyramid hill, step by step again. So I always remember you saying it's a fragile descent, but this ascending to the next block, as you get to the peak of the pyramid, it feels harder to get to the first blocks at the bottom, but it gets faster because it becomes more narrow at the top. And I feel that that's what's this quickening feeling that many are feeling, is because we're coming to this top of the ascend pyramid. I'm not saying that I'm an ascended one or others are ascended ones. I'm just saying that's the feeling that we seem to be having. And the other thing is that you're saying that you felt all these rocks come to you, and it's I believe it's not one planet or one meteor or one asteroid, it's multiple. Yeah, so it's layers, and possibly this has happened more than once. It's probably happened a few spins. Yeah, maybe more than we can count.
But that to me, immediately I see the unicorn's horn again, right?
Yeah.
Because the unicorn's horn is pointing to infinity, really, and so it's almost like space travel, really. And what I see is it's a spiral, because these are the words that they give me. It's a spiral dynamic. It's almost like sort of digging a hole as it's going through, right, and discovering. So we're right on the pinpoint of this thing. But I also get this is about reversing the reversal, because there was a reversal that takes place. And when we hit rock bottom, everything spins round then and goes the other way around. So the bottom becomes a ceiling to the next dimension. And then when you mention these orbitals, that's how electrons work. Electrons work and they jump from one orbital to the next. So that's how the energy gets transferred. But not only that, the concentric circles then. So if we go from hydrogen to helium to whatever the next is, I can't remember the periodic table, they're actually just rings, like the rings of Saturn, and they represent different aspects and different spheres of consciousness, because they're not rings, they're actually spheres, and that's what I get all the time, and I keep seeing like a balloon filled with water, and the initial big bang is just like a puncture. That's why I keep seeing the sperm punctured in the sort of the sac or the egg. And what actually leaks out then, right? That's the big bang. It's like a leak, really. Where, and that's what I see all the time. That the energy, the power, and everything was there like a big black balloon. But when it gets punctured, it starts to just pour out, pour out, pour out, pour out. And I think it's only just started. I only just feel that it's only just started, really, you know, and we're only on the cusp of everything that's really and the quickening as well. I'll just say this bit though, the quickening, you know, the increase in this resonant frequency, right? I see that as more and more of a spiral that's really, really quickening now. And our job as humans on Gaia, right, is to keep our feet on the ground, you know, and it's so important to do simple, practical things like learn how to center, learn how to let go of the emotional disturbance and completely surrender to the process, because you'll be given the information in 3 months' time once you've been through it. Because if you want to know what you're going through, just trust it. It's too much for you to understand, human. Oh, there we go. It's too much for you to understand, human. So just trust this process. And when you look back, you'll see exactly what's gone on. That's all you need to know for now.
It's a need to know basis.
It is.
It's so cheeky, right? Because
Absolutely.
it's amazing because so the interview that I first do with you is so clear now. And you said in one of the interviews, the messages come before you're ready to understand them. So they go, okay, we're just going to put this on the shelf. You go do this over here for a while and you'll come back to this. And C Act has been the greatest awakening moment for me. Huge. And you helped bring that through. You helped navigate that through for me. So thank you, Dr. Joe. I know you're just having fun.
Yeah, just I don't know this is happening. You tell me, oh, that's Andy, and I think I've got no idea what I've just said there.
But this is also the sharing process. Is you never know how many you've helped. And I've said this to people, and they said, "I didn't even know I said that to you." And I said, "Well, but what you said changed my life." And they go, "But I didn't even know I said that." And this is what we do as humans to each other. And this is an energy where we are lifting the intelligence of the nest, the colony, and the Odin's crows. So you have one crow and then the other crow on the other shoulder. They're both home. One is inside the home and the other one is circling above. And the symbol for this is a target, which is a dot, and a circle, which is represented in pretty much every culture you look at. It's the Egyptians used it as the breast, which is the mammary glands.
Right.
Memory glands.
Very good.
Man's
Yeah.
story. That's what it is. And it starts from the breast milk, and also Newgrange, all of them. The dot is the compass, the fifth element in the middle, and the circle is the circumference, the compass. Yeah. And so when you look down on a mast, so if you feel overwhelmed and you are on top of the mast and you look down, that's what it looks like. If you're on top of a pyramid, it's the point, and then you draw around the 4 points of the. So see how it comes back to these simple building children's blocks.
Absolutely.
Triangle, circle, square. Whichever direction you want to look at it, it's circle, square, circle, triangle, and you just keep spinning them in their own orbit. Each one spins in their own orbit, which is the key of life. And then you go before maketh man. So before language. And this is probably why the rock voice shudders me, is because it's before language, it's before religion, it's before maketh man. It's the beginning spot. And I feel that possibly hearing the rock voice, and when it comes through, and I feel like it's going to come through a lot more later on, is that it will help others remember to just let go of all that, because it's just matter, and return to the senses, the gas.
And on that note, that's what I got as well, is the plasma, the solar plasma. And then I got, well, the solar plasma is basically, its constitution is mostly hydrogen and helium. It was the helium that led me onto the noble gases, right? And I said, you have to explain to me. And I got, this is the process where it all started off. So there's plasma, the solar plasma, as above, so below. And it's the plasma in us as well, because it's represented by the fourth phase, because you're moving out of the three phases now into the fourth phase. The fourth phase is rectangular, and I'm going, okay, yeah. So there was all geometrical stuff coming to me as well. But I've got, Joe, that's actually happening now, because it's part of the move now back into a crystalline consciousness as well. Right, so that's happening in us. So we need to know about the fourth phase of water. It's EZ water or EZ water, right? And it's something that's been denied by mainstream science for a long time, because it's been obstructed now. But now it's also now coming to the fore now. It's even being talked about now in medicine, in proper medicine now. They're bringing in the fact that from a physics point of view, there may well be this other phase of water that they've not really considered up to now. So that's all coming on board now as well. But let me just say about ants. I got, with all this chemical stuff, I got, Joe, remind Elsa that there's also antimony, right? And antimony is a chemical. I don't know much about it at all, but I do know that the ancient Egyptians thought it was really, really important, because if it was missing, then the whole human birth process and everything else was misdirected. And so we'll have to find out more about antimony as well. So I don't know much about it, but when you were talking about I got antimony, you see. It's essential, right, in the mineral composition, right, for human development and human growth, because it's also essential for Earth's realignment as well, whatever that means. Oh, and I also got Elvis, shake, rattle and roll, because Elvis has been with me. And also in the last week, and I've always been a big fan of David Bowie, but he's been like sitting on my shoulder. And that's what I got, that blue, electric blue. But also, do you remember, Joe, A Lad Insane? Because that was one of his LPs. You were the lad insane, Joseph, but now you're being restored to sanity. And there's another one called Ziggy Stardust. And I put that on and I thought, I remember all this. I just remember it. It's almost as if I wrote all those songs, or they've been playing through me since I was born, really.
It's so funny. Because as soon as you wrote Rocket Man, I was like, of course, it's Rocket Man. It's playful. It is playful. This so you brought up Saturn, and I haven't really looked into this, but I know parts of all the galaxy planets ring or resonate in the human autonomy sort of thing. And Saturn, I know, has been given a bad rap, like so many deities and gods in mythology. And so Saturn, is origin word is Saturn, and Saturn is to, it is void, and it is completion, and it's satisfied. That's what it is. So to be in the void, so if you're a garden bed and the garden bed is in a good pH, then the seed can germinate, right? So pH is power and potency, and you need these things to have the bang, the energy. Where does this energy come from? And this is a really cool topic. And maybe this rock voice will stir in so many, because that bang, that power, that potency is creation. That spot there, that energy, that gas, or that power is creation. That's God. That's us. That's innate us. That's sense. That's our will. It's like everything.
I can feel it. It's on its way, by the way. It's like waiting in the wings, you know what I mean? Because I get like dragon as well with it, the black dragon that comes, you know, and that's a whole other story, that one, because that's been with me, terrifying me when I was a child, right? But then I get into all Arthurian legends then, and it takes me off. Remember the red dragon and all that sort of stuff, right? Well, this is a black one that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid because I didn't understand. But it's almost like I had to sort of reinterpret the symbology of the dragon and understand that it's a way to reclaim the power that's being given away. So I've got that now, and it's back with me. And it's got two things it does. It's got a flamethrower to clear the path. So there's the flamethrower, and it's got a tail to almost like splat anything that gets in the way. You know, it's like any if anything lands on me, it just goes and it just flicks it off, really. You know, and I think I've mentioned before, I keep getting sun. We are well looked after. You're well protected. We're right with you. Just keep going now, and that's what I get all the time. You know, so. And I get also the dragon voice is the sort of fundamental clearing of the throat, you know, because the picture I get is that the heart is like a valve on the top that's being slammed shut, but now it's being forced open now, and it's connected to the throat. And I see that the throat's like a flute with these 7 holes in it, representative of the chakras, right? And the root one needs to be re-empowered to blow all the shit out of the top of the crown, right? So that's where I'm up to, and he'll be with us in a minute because I can feel it. It sort of starts in me. It starts in me perineum, and it starts to creep up my spine. You know what I mean? And I think that's a funny feeling, but but I can feel it because my throat's starting to clear.
Yeah, so it's brewing. So before you start, the other the keep going through Saturn is soul shine. So the soul can shine. It's through the darkness of the satisfied, the void. And this is a new beginning because it's so dark. The light comes through. It's exciting.
And satisfaction means to be fulfilled from the Latin. Satis is full, is filled, and faction is the so when somebody is satisfied, they are filled full. And I got told, Joe, everybody thinks that they need material things to fill the hole, but the hole can only be filled with spirituality. And I get that all the time. And what's happening now is, as the great shift comes in, this spiritual energy is forcing its way through now, and everybody will feel this. And then we are feeling this really a lot at the moment, you know. And so sometimes you feel like you're getting knocked off your feet. What I've been shown today is just tell them, Joe, to just relax and open up, and trust the process, because it's bigger than them, it's more powerful than them, and it's for their benefit. Because it is only by self-forgetting that one finds, right? And I say, well, explain that to me. Well, Joe, everybody on the planet has identified themselves with their egos. They are not their egos. So they're being forced to lose their minds in order to find themselves, you know. So if people are starting to think, I don't even know, I can't even identify, I don't even know who I am, that's a really, really positive thing. Just trust the process. And also, if you can't remember things, that's also a very positive thing, because your memory banks are being cleared, really, because this is now to live extemporaneously, spontaneously, beyond memory, and just trust yourself at the deepest levels. Let yourself go, because there's a whole load of fun coming up. So let's do a little bit of light language, shall we? Are you ready? I have to sort of position myself here. Yeah, here we go. Hola, mi pop soyo. Nora, Leona, no, Maudo. Hola, no, Majoga.
Wah, muskala yaba. Mula na ya yoga na kasanya. Mula na kaksoka. Shlo la matya. Mula yelo motak mohola jetsiola. Mula na hala tsotso. Hot matak na. Sarayaton mega. Oh, but you can't go. Oh, la yakskala yawa.
I'll be back, he says.
Okay.
And what happens to me is it like my eyes shoot up into the top of my head, right? And my throat opens and I just sort of say those words, but the sweat just pours out of me, you know. It's almost like a flamethrower. And the sweat's pouring off me now. But that'll come back in a minute. But what else is going to come through is different light languages as well, because I can feel different frequencies coming in as well. So that might be happening. But over to you for the second or two.
Well, I'll just speak so you can catch up with it. It's so it's like beyond us, but before us as well. So this is rattling. I seriously got rattled the first time I heard it, but this one is this one's like so I feel like when you're doing it, it's like a race or a different version. So different disciples are coming through, and this one has stepped up a few grades from the first one I heard. So it's like you said, where okay, let's start you off with these ones, the building blocks, and now okay, they are tapping in. So we'll go, and so then they present forward the next level of it for us. It's funny because sometimes I hear light language and I feel so like I've come home. Like it's like that feeling where you look up at the stars and you realize how humble you are, but you realize you're also a part of it as well. It's just the most unexplainable feeling that has in humans, and it's to be little is to be great, because you realize that you're just a speck in it all, but you can, that speck is that power and potency again. So that little me is great. So this ant energy coming in being little can be giant.
I can feel the emotion of this coming up in a big way now. And it's almost like, not to be crude about it, but from my anus. It's almost like that's sucking up the earth, right? And it's shooting up really, you know, because anus means annular, doesn't it? It means ring, it means circle. You know, that's why they call it something. That's why they call it the ring of fire
colony.
sometimes. Pardon?
Yeah, it's the colony.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, this is it's a funny word, I know, but it's returned to the colony, and this is where we get. This is why I keep saying our closest DNA is actually the Anus, the energy. They call it Anu. Ant is a version of Anu. Anu is Anu, and the ant is the Anu path. Anu path. You follow the Anu path because they follow path with their antennas, little vibrators.
Yeah.
And you get itchy scalp sometimes when you think about them. And the Anu path is, like you said, we reversing back to past now, but the rock is the what the ants walk over. It's before even the Anu. And that's why this rock voice will at first make you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel disturbed a little, I have to say. But then you if you start listening to all the vibrations in it, and it reminds me of the setter beings, the whales, the first beings, big ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what they do. But they do the rock type voice underwater. It's what the elephants do through the jungle. It's what the crocodile do. They shudder.
It's funny this, you see, because this is what I'm getting now is we've been blocked off really, and the bottom half of our body for some reason in the West has been seen to be, oh, you don't want to go there. It's just, it's dirty, it's all that sort of thing, So we've almost like been psychologically closed off from the physical aspects of our rectum and our anus and all these things, and that's why so many people, including myself, because you are the land of Ur, right? So that's Lemuria, right? And I get Uranus as well, because this is how my head works. So it's Uranus, but that's the ring, it's the bass note really. And we need to get back in touch with the bass note. And I think that's what's happening now. It's almost like opening up. And it's starting from there now. And then the vibrations will increase as we go. See, I can feel it now happening. Right. So, but we need to be okay with our anus and what's the name? The one who, no, honestly, I got this a long time. The woman who did the what was her name? You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay. On a tape I heard of her once, he said, "You must love your anus." And I thought, what sort of a thing is this? But unless you actually know your physical body and you're okay with all the holes and understanding what they're all for, there's always going to be some sort of restriction and obstruction to the flow of the energy that's trying to come through. So in a way, this is all about self-acceptance and accepting every single part of us, even the smelly and the slimy bits. You know what I mean?
Well, this is great, because this is what happened with the black swan energy that came through, which is in Australia. The black swan represents the impossible, because there was no such thing as a black swan. And then they came to Australia. And that's so. The black swan also brought up the royals, and the royals will not eat starch. So to become part of the royal family, you kind of have to sign a clause to say you won't eat starch foods, the queen. This was part of their regime. The reason they didn't eat starch, and this gets a bit deep, but I'm going somewhere with this. The reason they don't eat starch is because we're not really meant to digest it, and starch holds parasites and viruses easily, which is ancient DNA code that they still don't know where it came from. So if you have too many of them in you around your spleen, they change how your spleen processes black bile, which is the black and white of the chess game. I go on about it a lot. Anyway, so to be a peasant, or to please, or pleasant, is all the same word, and it's peasant. Peasant. Peasant is starch ants. And this is again how you enslave. You feed them starch to the villagers. So some people will be able to digest starch at different levels. Everyone is different, but this needs to be addressed in this time right now, so that you have the right amount of starch in your body for you, so that when this rock voice people or these other channeling comes through, you get the fullest out of it. But if you've got other entities in you helping you make choices in there, and so I say, whenever I'm starting to feel a little tired, unusually tired and things, I think maybe I have a few that it balances out. So then I will take something like dimetolysis earth, which helps remove them gently without damaging the kidneys and the spleen and the gallbladder. A lot of the worming parasites, which is one of the things they've used with this lockdown situation, is one that they give to horses.
Ivermectin.
We would never give it to our horses ever, because it depletes their kidneys and creates multiple problems, not only in them, but in the whole ecosystem of the paddocks. So keeping the pleasants, the peasants, in check, so that when you hear information from like this rock voice, you won't go into the you'll go into your full version of you, rather than our family calls it compromised. So when we see people's eyes and they look, one eye goes a bit wonky, or they get rattled when you speak to them, we can generally see in their pain body that they're compromised, and it just means that they've got too many of them in their gut, basically, and they're colonizing in there.
It's fascinating, this, because that's what I get as well, is that from a nutrigenomic point of view, nutrigenomics, so the nutrients and DNA production, right? What actually happens is the light body draws from the gut. So that's where the information's coming in. So the point is, we need the correct amount of minerals, right, and also sugars and proteins and fats. So diet's very important. It's individual and specific for each individual soul as well. So there's a balance that needs to be struck, but it can only be guided intuitively, really. And that's why some people may need to be vegans, some might need to be vegetarians, some might need to be carnivores, and it all depends really on the purpose and the curriculum they chose before they came here. That's why there can't be a general educational principle that says you all need to give up meat now because it's not very good. That's an ideology, really, in my view, right? And I could be wrong, Elsa. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, and I'll learn as I go along. But I feel that each individual's got to be raw, authentic, and they've got to listen to how their soul, and it is about getting back into the raw, and it is about getting back into the body, and it's about fully accepting all the biological processes that are going on in the body. And that's why biochemistry is so important, but it's driven at the level of the soul. But we've been so compromised with information that's been fed us that we need to sort of vomit it all up and clean it all up, and deworm ourselves, really, and so this authentic energy can come through, right, and start to express itself in its fullness. I've got no idea what I said then, but it sounded good. I'll carry on.
Wow. So we've been pleasing our own ants with food. And, you only have to look at pictures a decade ago and then a decade ago, how we've changed. Now, so we have this visual of the ants coming down, descend ants coming down one side of the pyramid and then going back up the other side. So as you come down so imagine jumping down a block of the pyramid and jumping down another block. Each one, you might have to change your diet to each block. And the food I can't eat at the moment, which was my go-to food, was potato. I love potato. And Pamela was great. She said potato is a grounding plant. But obviously at where you are now on the blocks, that's not serving me. Literally, it's in the words, right? Serving on a plate. So I can't, if I do eat potato, I know I will have digestive problems. So my two beings, beings, so C-act beings, have a problem. So they're die-et. It's in our language. It's right there in front of us. I just want to bring up also this playfulness and this laughing and joking. The word simple, stupid, dumb means, the origin of it means spirit open. That's what it means. And when I hear that, I laugh because, people just say, oh, you're just being silly. And I go, yeah, I am. It's okay. And okay means Ocel correcto. So correct speech. That's what yeah. So I'm simple and I'm okay with it.
Well, on that note, the force of gravity, right, is neutralized by the force of levity. Levity is uplifting, and levity means lightheartedness, right? And that's where we've been up to, really. And the more that we allow this uplifting energy, the more the balance in our heart, the more the neutralization process, the spin, the matter and the antimatter, right? They come together, and it's not that they don't do anything, it's they reach this neutral point. It's like having two magnets together. They're not touching, they're actually working in harmony with one another, and there's a great big uplift. But if you get it wrong and one the other way, it can actually go the other way down. So this is gravity and levity working in harmony with one another. And that's why I say about seriously lighthearted, because it's a process of balance. And I think that that's happening all the time. And we're being sort of almost forced now, as Todd would say, let go or be dragged now. And I think we're being dragged back into balance. And as we get to that neutral point, which is the 0 point, which is the opposite of zero, it's full of nothingness, but it's full of everything at the same time. And I think sometimes when you get to that perfect point of stillness, that's when this cosmic consciousness comes in and the whole universe flies back into the top of your head, and temporarily you understand everything all in that moment. And I think that that's what's coming to people now more and more.
It feels good. It feels like it has path, what you're speaking about. Rehashing over things that I can't fix does not feel good. Regurgitating headlines does not feel good. This, what we're talking about now, I just feel like the next day is exciting because it has some greater meaning that I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it has a greater meaning. Each day I wake up, it has a greater meaning. And I guess that's that, looking at the stars again, and the humility and the humbleness of that is that excitement makes me feel like something big is coming. And the kids say it all the time, something big's really coming. I say, I'm talking to Dr. Joe this morning, so that's going to be big.
Well, honestly, I got up this morning and I walked out into the garden and I could feel it, And then my head says, because my ego comes in then and says, oh, maybe this is the event, because everybody's looking for the event. It's been predicted 1,000,000 times in the last 6 weeks, right? And all that, So I don't know, but I do feel something's building, but it feels like it's an uplift, but it's also deepening as well at the same time. It's becoming more sort of how can I explain it, like treacle, like it's almost like swimming at a deeper level, really. That's what I feel like, and I think it's like learning to sort of deep dive in water. You've got to sink a bit, and then you've got to stop a bit before you equilibrate, get used to it before you can go deeper. And the deeper you go, the higher you get. It's like a rebound effect, really. So to want to sort of plunge into the depth straight away, that could probably cause a lot of problems. And that's when I got today about deep sea divers using these noble gases, because they're inert. They're called inert gases. So they could be mixed, but they add a sort of stabilization to the whole process. Maybe somebody listening has got more information on this. I don't know. But I only sort of give what I get, really. I mean, I'm reasonably good at science, but I'm not brilliant at it, so there'll be bits that I don't understand that maybe somebody else can fill in, really.
Well, that word inert, innate, so those gases, obviously our bodies can handle, but not naturally, because we're not designed that way. But whales and animals that go deep, it is innate in them as well, but they can handle it all the time because of their mass, their great mass, so that their composition. So it's quite interesting. I didn't realize that was the same gases that you said. They're waiting for the big event, and as soon as you said that, I got Trinity, reverse reverse the trinity, so spin the trinity, and then the vents. So the vents are coming out, and this is what the rock voice has done today. You have evented us.
Well,
from the other end.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to come back now for about 5 minutes of vibration. Is that okay?
I'd love, yeah. I want to see if it's
Okay.
the same. I'm curious to see if it's the same energy.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm sort of there listening to it over here, listening, thinking that sounds like the difference. Is it coming from a different part of my throat? And I don't know, because I'm just going along with this. But I mean, I've been speaking light language for a long time now, right? But not at this depth, really. And so I just go with it. I don't know what it means. I don't try and work it out, but we're getting more clarity the more that we talk about this, and it will be interesting because it's only you and I at the moment, but I will upload this and I'll just say to people here, I'll see what you think, really,
Yeah.
Because Elsa, people do say to me, what's it all about? And I really don't know. I'm just trying to find out myself as I go one step at a time, really, and all I can say is I feel more and more strength coming through, more and more power, if you like, more and more courage, and more I really couldn't give a shit because I know it's going to be okay, and
back to the colon again.
Pardon?
We're back to the colon again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's yeah. I really couldn't give a shit, but that's more of an obstruction, really. And I don't have any problems in that department, but I'll not go anywhere there,
You know what? I just want to say one thing that's really funny is my life on the farm is so around poo.
Yeah.
That's what I shovel most of the day. Half of my day is in shit. And the kids laugh. We have so many ways of saying these terms. And it's funny because it's passed through us. It carries our ions back to Gaia. So, and it fertilizes the ground. So, the word shit and poo and all this it's becomes magical.
Well, on that note, then, this is what I go about the pyramids. They're basically chemical transformation processes, really, where they produced ammonia, right? And ammonia was the fertilizer for improving crop growth. So I got that, but also they had big pens for bullocks and cows and all that sort of thing because they were using that as well for the fermentation process. All this, and I got all about the first pyramid, the step pyramid at Saqqara, and that's where I got introduced to Imhotep, right? And Joseph was there as well. And there was the years of famine. So these are all the things that just poured into my head today. And I have to say to them, thanks very much. I know it's all connected, but you'll have to slow down because my head's absolutely wrecked with it all now, So we'll just have to see what transpires, really. So it's all about the wind. And as we said before, wind is pneuma in Hebrew, I think, and pneuma means spirit, right? So this is about the winds of change. Oh. So let's have about 5 minutes or so of this thing and see what comes through next. Just a laugh coming through at the moment. Oh, okay. So I'll try and explain what's happening now. All the inside of my head is now just being filled with stars. And I sort of feel that my eyes are now being sort of drawn upwards towards, I suppose, my third eye there and the crown. Yeah, okay. Okay, what I've got now is a triangular thing, like from the Stargate film, and it's almost like a spaceship now. Right, and that's now moving up. And it's, oh God, and it's almost like it's being thrust up now by thrusters underneath the base of this pyramid. So it's becoming a flying device, really. Christ, I can feel a knock on the door, they're coming to take me away again, but I'll just keep going with it. And I'm getting Anunnaki as well, so make of that what you will. And here comes Ra. Hathor.
Malaknak solaknak yo, Okusundakel, Makodesalyawa, Molakan Sadi Waknagato, Olot New Molak Nayodia. Yeah, no, that's not the wa, no, yet the wa makwa. Ola nagyasata, ola nataskala, mutnak ye, otakne.
I say.
You're right.
I say, yeah. So
Might have to have a sleep after this one.
so that could all be construed as dark forces and all that, and yeah, it could be. I don't feel it's that at all. The very fact that the Anunnaki thing came through, I don't know what that means. But Hathor, yeah. And also and what this reminds me of, Elsa, is the series and the film Stargate. And that's basically been my life. I'm sort of like a reincarnation of Daniel Jackson, who was the sort of the sensitive scientist, who had all these visions, if you like, and sort of futuristic views. And he tried to take it to the mainstream, and they basically left him out of town. And then he did a circle or a spiral or a revolve, and he came back and he said to them, he did this basically. And I feel that that's sort of my job as well. And I look forward to the day when I can do that. So there you go. So I'll shut up now and see what else is coming.
Well, it's like taking the finger to another level.
No, that just means oneness.
I know, but our kids would be doing it the other ways.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, definitely.
But this pointing up.
Oh, yeah.
So simple though, and it comes back to the humility of this. And you said that you felt the stars first. So you feel humility first. You feel allowing first. You're surrendering to the stars. You see people pray to stars. This is what you are doing through this process to rock voice. When you bringing forth those people, I feel like you're almost being journeyed or carried through them or past them or behind them or before them, whatever it is, to past the Anu. Anunnaki is a version of Anu. It's a later version. I don't pretend to know who they are or anything, but I know who Anu is. And Anu is the ant energy. I don't know how many versions of Anu are before the rock. I don't know how long. I don't know dates or times, but I know that this feels right. This feels really good. And this voice that you bring through, I'm going to have to listen to it a few times. It just, I feel like I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And it's a nice feeling.
Well, I just got reversing the reversal. I just got Anunnaki is Narkias. and that sense of humor suits me down to the ground. It really does.
Yeah. So it suits you down to the ground. So I just wanted to say thank you to others who have had sessions with me, and they've listened to Dr. Joe and Pamela and Todd and myself speak with others, and they've listened in and they've shared their information. I had one lady in New Zealand who was like, I call her my white rose gift. And this lady around the Hopi on the map, she's just come through at the same time with the Quakers, and she's the black rose. And it doesn't mean that she's the dark one. It's just now I understand my spin being symbol. I have the white rose, and now I saw the black rose. And the black rose is like Saturn, the satisfy of the void. And this rock language could be interpreted as dark. But if you are at a good space, a good balance inside, you will interpret this language in the true way that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like this, humility. One. We're all together in this. One. Stem, sem, one. And it's languages like this that will reunite the colony of the nest of Anu, and we will raise the intelligence through just being us. And I'm grateful that you shared it with me. I'm so grateful you shared it with me, Dr. Joe.
Well, I've never done it before with anybody, like this. And I'm going to bung it out anyway and see what happens, because I don't care really, and it's all meant to be. It feels like the right thing, and I just hope it helps people really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep your bum clean. That's what I get. Look, keep your bum clean, and remember, you might need to go and get some more toilet rolls. And again, remember what happened 3 years ago, Joe. Everybody was going to get toilet rolls, but this is what they need it for. I think,
for rock bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's so cute. Thank you.
There you
Dr.
go,
Joe.
Elsa. Thanks very much. I love this, and it's days afterwards, stuff just comes in and knocks me off my feet, So keep in touch, and we'll see what comes of this. And my love to everybody, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Dr. Joe.
And thanks
Bye.
very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.